So, if you don't excel in your career already, which I think you already do, you have a natural inclination towards information processing and or science because you're very inquisitive and you've always been very keen to notice things in the natural world and even in people too, since you were a little girl. But you've been especially interested in the natural world because the human world is kind of fucked up. That's a real blunt way to put it. But it's like you felt stress from that as a little girl because I feel like the life you lived early on was one where you were often redirected psychologically from what you were naturally inclined to be interested in, but because you have such an intense focus and you'll literally spend hours upon hours, days upon days, years upon years upon subject matter that really interests you and sparks your creativity, that wasn't understood by your family or by your friends, especially earlier on. When you got to be older, then it changed because you also found social outcasts like yourself in college that were really brainy and really like you've got this engineer kind of mind quality to you. I don't know, that's what it feels like to me. Where you just like to know how stuff works. And stuff is not just things like mechanical things, it's also like chemical properties or like the stars or even psychology is very interesting to you. You always like seeing the bigger picture because I feel that this energy, this inclination comes from a sense of feeling very isolated as a little girl. So that actually fueled your drive. This happens with a lot of human beings, should I say human beings? People. Okay, so I'm getting a lot of information right now. I'm going to try and sift it. So I want to say this before I forget about it, because when we were talking earlier, I was saying something along the lines of like welcome to Earth, or like because you feel like a star seed to me. Do you know what these are? Have you heard what this is? Okay, so I'm a star seed also. Star seeds are people who have lived more lives outside the planet than they have on the planet. So there's this freshness and this sense of like, I'm never really going to fit in, even if I try, even if I don't. Even if I'm fit into this group, I'm not fully fit into this group, where we feel a certain kind of aloneness that just has been a constant theme of our life, and it's always going to be a constant theme. That's not a bad, it hurts, but it's not a bad thing. It's a gift in the curse. Because we were inspired enough to come here to create catalysts for many social things and individual lives of people too, and in our own lives too, to shape us in a certain way. You feel frustrated when you hit brick walls. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
It's not just one subject of your life or one area of your life. You get so frustrated when you feel like you're trapped or when you're manipulated, whether it's direct or indirect. You just get really frustrated, and I empathize with you quite a bit on this. Just to do stuff and to live authentically takes so much work, and it shouldn't need to. That's the main takeaway there. That's this frustration that I feel with you, and it's never really gone away because it's like you've kind of just accepted this. And me too. That's a unique property of Earth. It's a unique property of this place, which is why it's hard for us to be here. Because when we're making the selection, when we're in spirit and we're not embodied yet, we don't have a form. We're looking at it and we're experiencing. We're like, yeah, fuck yeah, I'm going. Excuse me, French. We're gonna go to Earth. It's gonna be great. Like Earth needs so much work, and I love me, and I love everything. And then you come here and you're like, oh shit, because you have to navigate that while being yourself too, which seems, what's a good word, guys? Inefficient. Because it is.
That is a good word.
It's a very good word, because as much as we aspire to, there's always someone that's going to be in the way. There's always going to be some other challenge. There's always going to be some either logistical challenge or social challenge, because we're all kind of like stepping on each other's toes, especially indirectly, because passivity is as much a pathogen as the perpetration is. And that's part of why we're here, actually, because Earth needs to wake the hell up about what we're allowing to be. I just saw a book come. You read a lot. Gabor Mate. You see that? I was about to ask you, but then I was like, I know. Gabor Mate is a renowned psychologist. Do you know who I'm talking about? Look him up. M-A-T-E. His last name, he's Hungarian, but he was a refugee from, he escaped the Holocaust when he was very, very, very young, like an infant. But he has written so many great books. And I should say something, because I do not like to read, but this guy's books and what he has to say is profound. He talks about a toxic culture, because especially nowadays, in our present social, cultural ethos of love and light, spirituality, everything that's kind of like fresh and new. It's like, I say we're in a kindergarten phase of all this stuff, because it's still highly commercialized. That we all need to take a certain amount of accountability for what's toxic in the cultural sphere, rather than just placing all of that weight on the shoulder of the individual, which is something we do as Western people. It's kind of ironic, because it's like you hear it being touted a lot about, like, your reality is your own, and you create what you feel, and it's true partially, because this has always frustrated the living hell out of me, hearing it about like the law of manifestation, about like Abraham Hicks is you know about Abraham Hicks, and what's her name, the gal who died like years ago, but she did deep hypnosis. She talks about the new earth and everything. But anyway, that whole like generic kind of idea that suggests we need to take individual accountability, and that's everything that's wrong. It's partially true, because society is built off of individuals, but the collective decides what's acceptable or not. And we've been so keen to focus on the perpetration rather than the enabling. The enabling is the part that we need to work on. And you see this too. It's what we're passive about. It's what we're accepting of, which is unacceptable, which is the bigger toxin. And it gets in the way of, no matter how individually enlightened or healed you are, it doesn't matter if someone you're sharing space with that shares the culture with you, that you're operating within, the sociological, the economic schemes, the schisms, that's actually the word that came to mind, the whole structure itself needs to be rewritten. And that does happen to a large point from the ground up. But, you know, from the structure itself.
Where do you think I can make the biggest impact?
You want to be the most efficient.
How do I find...
How do you gauge that? I'm going to answer you with a question. How do you gauge the degree that your success can be measured? Or whether you're successful.
I'm open to different metrics of measurement, okay? I don't know.
So
I don't know what the metric is.
Gotcha. When we're talking about this, it seems to me like what hasn't been working for you has been a shotgun approach. And I feel like you're diluting your light. You're diluting your gift to too broad of an audience, and then it gets lost. You need something concentrated, something that's super authentic, and something unapologetic that's visible. But the because this is your reading, to get there, you need to be comfortable with who you are and unapologetic for how others may receive you, which you're not quite there yet.
Definitely.
Because it's scary as hell. Because you felt that way your whole life, and you've been aiming at the opposite end to try and fit in. The last thing you'd want to do is like double down on your uniqueness. You know what I'm saying? I completely understand this. It's not easy. It was never meant to be easy. And that's another component of why we choose to come here, for the restriction. And I know this is going to sound kind of cheesy, but diamonds are formed under pressure, under limited resources. Limitations themselves are amazing inspirations. Not inspirations. They're amazing fuel for what you're trying to shape. Yes, it's frustrating as hell too, though, because also when we're so inspired by things and when we're so passionate about things, we also have a very short attention span, where it's like we're inspired by so many things so often that we're also thinking, how can I be more efficient with what I'm going to be inspired by, depending on what resources I have to actually do something about what passion I have at the moment. That is a lot of that is conditioning, though. Going back to your childhood, seeing how your parents were living and what they prioritize. It's all about priority. It's been ingrained in you. It's like, well, I can't just have passions and no money, or no food, or no shelter, or no provisions. You know, and it is a balance, but I feel like if you find an arena that has a niche for you, or where your niche is acceptable, where you feel comfortable, that's how you gauge what's acceptable or not. If you're comfortable in a space of people, or of in a space of people, or like a corporation or government, or like an organization. Thank you. Sorry, my brain's all over the place. That is an indication of what can therefore be more efficient. But you have to put the cart after the horse. Because it's almost like you're fishing for the result before the work, but you have to do the work to get the result. But to do the right work, you need to be comfortable what you're doing. You have to love what you're doing, regardless of the people who don't share that enthusiasm, the people who don't appreciate or what you have to offer. There's always going to be people like that. It's kind of an oxymoron, or it's kind of a catch-22. It's that to be here, to make the biggest impact, you need people who are not going to be into what you're into, because you need to inspire them. So it's like, but there are a fair amount of people already who have like launched into this for their own lives, that you can maybe find or attract yourself to, or attract them to easier by vibrating there, by living that experience. That will be the proper segue for you. It's going to be a good segue for you. Something about crystals and minerals too. Do you like to collect crystals?
I do have some crystals. Yeah.
They're beautiful. Just go gung ho. Like, don't hold back. You married? Was?
It's complicated.
One of those situations.
Yeah.
Okay. Never mind.
I'm in the middle of a second divorce.
Gotcha. Well.
But it's not a bad divorce.
No, that's good. But I know how you feel, where it's like you look back and you're like, was that a waste of time? Does that mean anything? Was it for something?
I think it was worthwhile.
It wasn't just to teach you. It was to teach you, but it was also for you to enjoy. You know, sometimes.
I definitely got something that I needed out of it.
For sure, and he did too. That's good, but it still sucks. It's, you know.
It's one more place where I didn't fit.
The world is big. And there's a lot of aliens on the planet right now.
Yeah.
You could find other blue-skinned people.
Okay. How will I know that?
You can tell. Same way you can tell me. mean, you looked right at me and you can kind of feel it, can't you? I mean, I don't exactly fit in. Even here, I don't fit in. There's some kind of like interesting quality that you can pick up on. That's like usually an indication. Every single starseed I've ever met has that. It's that quirkiness, but we're so used to holding it back that.
How do you encourage someone to embrace that?
By encouraging myself
How do you learn to love yourself?
through the process. It's a process. Some of it is accepting what's acceptable. Some of it is appreciating what was distracted from you, what was taken from you. A lot of it is ritual. A lot of it is nature. A lot of it is allowing yourself to dream, to be who you are from the inside. It starts from the inside. But so many of us even repress ourselves from the inside because especially if we grew up in situations where we paid a huge price for any bit of that would leak out. I lived in a highly suppressed situation like that. I tried to live a life as a normal person for years, for decades, and then I hit a physiological roadblock. I got Lyme disease. Yeah, and that just changed everything. And it was such a curse, but every curse is a blessing, and every blessing is a curse. It's got dual utility. It's the weirdness of this realm is that it's got the duality. Not every place in the universe is like that, or other universes. My soul has lived in other universes that have different properties and rules of like physics even. Yeah. But this place is a very interesting place. It's almost like a sandbox of some sort.
I think I needed to hear about
sandbox.
Just the idea that this place is unique,
and so are you.
And appreciating the uniqueness of my experience here.
Look in the mirror. And it's really hard for you. Look in the mirror. Tell yourself that you love yourself, even if you don't mean it. But just do it regularly. That's why I got these. This is a safe space for you. 4 days. Because once we allow it for ourselves to feel how we really feel and to let it go through, then we can learn to hold space for other people. It comes naturally. But a lot of times we're just so gung-ho on getting to the end result before we even do the path, do the engineering. It's like trying to run a marathon by just looking at the finish line. I mean, like, I'm there, right? No, I mean, you have to walk, you have to run, to move your feet. But that's also an indication of a space that's not meant for you to be if you're looking to the end. It's kind of like tying your shoes too tight just so you can release them to feel the relief. It's how addictions work too, because people like us are very prone to addiction. Not just substances, but behaviors. I've struggled with my whole life. I know my tendencies. But it's also my gift. Because we have such hyper focus, such intensity to our consciousness, to where we pinpoint, to where we focus on, that it scares a lot of people because they don't know. But the thing is, just because they have a majority does not make them an authority. Oh, that's good. That rhymes. Just because they have a majority does not make them an authority. I gotta write that down or something.
You've got it on video.
I do have it on video. Perfect. Oh my God, that was really good. See, that wasn't me though. That was like having an empty head. Because a lot of times the best stuff comes when you get out of your own way, when the conditioning is left aside, when you're allowed to just be authentically, to have your process be as it's intended to be. But I think not the only thing, but the best thing for that is just practice. Practice being uncomfortable.
I do.
In the good way.
Yeah. Do that.
Take some retreats too. I feel like retreats would be good for you, like South America or Central America. Go to the Andes Mountains, like the ruins.
Yeah.
Like Machu Picchu, or what is it called? All of that has nothing to do with Earth, by the way. It's everything.
I was just at Chichen Itza earlier this year.
Are you?
Yeah.
And it's cool that you sat down with my shawl in there too, because that shawl I've done over 1,200 healings in, and everywhere I go, it usually tells me like which chair to put it on, and I usually put it at like the chair that's a little off from like most traffic where it comes through, because people who are drawn to that like need a healing, they want a healing. But this time around, that shawl was like, no, put me there. So I was like, okay, I'll put you there. And you sat right down on it. In fact, you invited yourself.
I did. I did invite myself.
That's pretty cool. So
Working on being more assertive about getting my needs met.
yes. And not settling. Because the notion is like, well, I gotta settle, otherwise I'll have nothing. That goes way back to surviving in childhood. Because you did not get what you needed in childhood, emotionally. There was zero validation. There was zero recognition, even. How could you even have validation if you don't even have recognition? In the same way, I had to let go of my folks. I still love them. But some of us choose arrogance and ignorance. Some of us walking around choose to not learn because we don't want to. And we have to let those people be accountable for their choices. And sometimes that requires us to be accountable for our needs. So if it's not being met, don't put the energy there. I'm still learning this, I mean, it's a process. It's repetition. It's almost like a ritual that spans the entire scope of one's life. Or it could, I should say. So, you're welcome. Something about meatloaf, too.
Meatloaf?
Yeah, I just saw it.
Really?
Yeah. Do you bake?
I haven't baked much recently. I used to do a lot of my kids for a living.
Yeah. Maybe cook. Maybe do something for yourself because you felt a lot of joy in providing for them. The same joy is there. You just have to see yourself as one of the children, as one of the people, as one of the souls here. It can be hard for us to do that, just because we have such powerful minds. It kind of like pulls our consciousness out of the anchor. So you just have to recognize that you are included,
Okay.
whether or not they see it or not. And that's why you're here. We need people to wake up, and we are. There's different phases of it too, because the future is going to be wild. Let me tell you, wild. Even the next 5 years, because AI, it's progress is reaching. What do they call that? Where the slope of progress is on the y-axis.
Orthogonal.
Orthogonal?
Orthogonal is like perpendicular.
Perpendicular to the... What do they call that? There's a word for it. Well, some people think there's like a reset. It is going to really. Because for hundreds of thousands of years, we've been basing our value upon a system that discerns how useful you are to other people and how leverageable your goods or services can be. Where now that's going to all go out with the bathwater. Baby's going to be thrown out with the bathwater because we have AI. AI is going to take over all human jobs, or most. In the next 5 years, it's going to take over close to half of all jobs. There will be no utility, no marginal benefit for any company to hire a human being.
What did you study?
Oh, life, everything.
Yeah.
What do you think I studied? I studied a lot. I have not stopped rolling down the steps since I was born. I was an artist, so I was kind of like a visual artist, and I was a musician. But when I was a kid, I used to build things a lot, like with connects and like erector sets and things. So I also have like an engineering kind of mind. I was into like build stuff. And I'm always analyzing everything. I studied music in college officially, but I took a lot of different electives and things. I changed my major when I was a junior to international relations. So I always joke with people, I was like, I went from music and I went to the next most related thing. International relations, which is politics and economics and language and history. I really, really love history. I've always loved uncovering the truth with everything because there's so much illusion here. It's not even funny. And you know, it's just layer upon layer upon layer upon layer. And people, it's right under people's noses, you know? And I also grew up like that too, similar to you, where people were not acknowledging me, they were not validating me. They were, my parents were there with food and shelter, but everything else was lacking. There was no emotional validation, there was no closeness, I was completely alone. And I learned that from a very young age that I was alone.
You're not alone.
I know.
I see you.
I appreciate that. I see you too. There's lots of us. There's lots and lots and lots of us. There's a lot of us who are still sleeping and brains. They've got the mycelium in their head. Do you know what I'm talking about? That show? I forgot the name of it. I binge watch things, so if I'm interested in something, like, okay, all right, now in this setting, I'm going to watch the entirety of all of them from start to finish. Have you been tested for the spectrum? I hate using it. I hate where I'm about to go because the label of autism or ADHD or anything like neurodivergent, it's ironic because it's a term that was necessitated out of a society filled with people who don't get it. So it's really just shorthand for them to displace you anyway. We don't understand it, don't want to. So using the term itself is a double-edged sword because yes, it confirms and it helps us recognize, hey, our brains are built differently, but it also hurts us because if you throw it around like a lot of people do, then it just gives a lazy fucking excuse for those people who don't understand to stay in that realm. Because we are here to help them understand that their way of things is not the only way. And arguably, it's a crappy way because it's reached a zenith, it's reached a pinnacle. It's provided for us materially, and that's about it. There's a huge spiritual lacking. There's a huge hunger. There's a void left in the hearts, minds, bodies, and souls of people. And normies don't know what to do. They feel it, but they just go searching endlessly for it. And they want things to be predictable or systematized. Like the system is only good insofar as how it's been built. People just completely forsake that. They don't look at the origins of the things that we do and why, or the way that we live or why. They just blindly go through with it. So we are needed. By and large, we are very, very much needed. Is it easy? No. But we're here. I see you too. So next time you see somebody like that, recognize them. But recognize yourself too. Look at yourself in the mirror more. Dance if you want to. I just heard that song. You can dance if you want to. You can leave your world behind. You can dance. You can dance. Is that from the 80s?
Yep.
Yeah. Who sang that?
The Talking Heads or...
I'm too young for that. I'm barely an 80s child. 88. You were in 70s? 76?
78.
78. Oh. You are... You're the year of the horse. Yeah, I was going to say, I'm a dragon.
Oh, yes. Yes, you are.
The best one. I'm just kidding. I would always tell people.
I don't want to be corralled.
Yeah, no, horse does. Gotta be free. Gotta run into the wind. And fire.
Yep.
It's yin fire. I read Chinese astrology, by the way.
Also Aries.
Oh, you are?
Yeah.
Oh, wow, that's cool. I'm a Taurus. Mm-hmm. My twin flame is an Aries.
Your The twin flame.
Twin flame. Yep, you heard of those? I don't know if I'm opening this can of worms here. The twin flame is crazy. That's your homework.
Okay.
Go home and look it up. Research. Oh, you will. I know you'll look into it. There's a lot of great material online about it, especially on YouTube videos. But gauge the information by how you feel about it too. Don't just be all in your head on it, right?
Okay.
If something feels off, you know somehow before you know that it's off. And that took me years and years and years to learn that the hard way. But I'm very grateful that I'm able to learn this.
Yeah, learning is that's my addiction.
It's a good addiction to have.
Yes and no.
It's just the manner in which you encapsulate the learning that is the struggle. It's not the learning
I'm
itself.
sure we're way over time. So.
Oh, that's fine. I heard it earlier, but I'm guided to talk about it. You need it.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Send people my way.
I will.
Do you live in the area?
I just moved to Kenosha.
Oh, I'm from Minnesota. I'm from 5.5 hours away.
Where in Minnesota?
Do you know where Albert Lee is?
No.
That's okay. I'm real close to the border with Iowa.
Okay.
Center, it's like 5 minutes, just about. But I've moved around all over the place. Last year, I worked every single weekend at a different location in Wisconsin, Illinois, Minnesota, South Dakota, Iowa. Different events and everything. But I do private events too. That's what I was feeling kind of like guided to ask you about. Like if you've got a group of people who are weird, who are interested in this kind of thing, I love doing private events.
That would be awesome.
Yeah, and so you just have to work with me kind of earlier than later because I do a lot of them, and I don't want to step on other people's toes and stuff. The sooner we get it like finalized, the
I
better.
don't have a lot of friends.
I know I was gonna say, yeah,
It's lonely.
it is. You should follow me anyway, because I'm gonna heed the call here. Spirit's been telling me this past couple 6 months or so to get back online because I used to have a podcast and I used to stream a lot. Because there's a lot of us out there. Like a lot of my friends are all just isolated by themselves, but they live all over the place. They don't live within like walking distance or even driving distance yet.
So do you live in Minnesota now?
Yep. I travel to Wisconsin quite a bit though. Yeah, I'll be in Milwaukee next month in like
good.
2 to 3 weeks from
Okay.
now. And then I've got an online one I'm doing in February. And then I'm coming back to Milwaukee again in February, the weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, at Illuminate, which is like a big, have you heard about them? Yep. So I'm doing a big like 3-day weekend there we're doing a group channeling session. 2 of them actually, one on Friday for like love compatibility and then another one on Saturday for like everything. And we're doing healings and reading spaces so back to back to back to back to back. So
That has to be exhausting.
it used to be before I learned how to work myself and become better with my own logistics. Because I now protect myself and I put up the proper boundaries. And before I would just read for anybody willy-nilly, and that just drains the crap out of you. It just sucks your soul dry, especially if they're not appreciating it or if they're not seeing it for the value of what it is fully. I don't waste my time on that anymore. That's another reason why my guides were just hounding me for years to increase my prices, and I finally did, and that solved so much of it.
Yes. Yes.
Because the low ballers, I'm not a hot dog stand, so why charge for like a hot dog stand? Right? Money is a representation of value. So people who value less are met with people who value less.
You teach other people how to treat you. Nobody wants to by how you treat yourself.
Right. We let them be. You know, the people who come by and they scoff at my prices or whatever, it's like, okay, they're not where I can help them. They're not ready for it. They're not receiving it. There's always somebody for it, somebody. So part of that is trust too, just letting go and being like, you know what? I trust that they're going to get the help and the love and the compassion and the information that they need. I'm not the only person on the planet that does that.
That's true.
Mhm.
And you can't save everyone.
Right. And by saving people, you actually don't save them. Some of them.
Yes.
You get in the way. Because some of them have to fall on their face
Yes.
as the way to learn. And that's very, very difficult for us to observe.
Yes.
Because we want to like get in there and like,
We
manipulate
have all
it.
the solutions.
We do though. Because we can see it.
Yes.
That's what's so fucking frustrating about it. Because we came here to work, and it's like, here's the work, but they don't want the work. I hear you. Story of my life.
I don't know if you know, I mean, I think you probably do pay a little attention to politics if you study international relations.
Yeah.
Do you remember the candidate Andrew Yang?
He's still on the ballot, isn't he?
No, he was from the last presidential election.
He dropped off fully?
Yeah.
Oh.
So he had the Yang Gang was like a group, and they had like there's a meme, and when you send me the video, I'll send you the meme. But there's a woman talking to a man. It's just a little cartoon, and she's like, "I can't talk to you. You only speak in solutions."
That's good.
That's so.
That's a really good way to put it.
I get that all the time. I'm told, I don't want you to solve my problems. I'm like, but stop complaining. There's the solution right there. You can fix it. Just stop complaining. Fix it. And they don't want it.
Yeah, that's a there's a lot to say about that. Before I forget, write your email down so I can send it to you.
Yeah, I could do that. Thank you so much for doing that.
Your name and email, please, so I can remember, and then I can.
I'll give you my real name that I'm going back to.
You have good penmanship too.
Thanks. It's not that good, but this is an underscore.
I read your mind. I was gonna ask. I was like, is that an underscore? And then you told me.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. So I will send it. I have a Google Drive link that I usually.
That's fine. I have Google accounts, but I'm going back. This was me before I was somebody else's everything.
Thank you for reminding me. I think you actually need a Google account to be able to share the
I do
drive.
have.
Okay.
But do you want me to give you one of
Yeah,
them?
because otherwise I might not be able to
Okay.
send it to you. I think that's a dumb rule, by the way. It's as if Google doesn't have enough money and power and influence already. Or Alphabet Core. Cool. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming by, Heather. I appreciate
Thank you,
it.
Skye.
Many blessings to you. Safe travels too.
Same to you. When are you leaving?
Right after here, I'm going to travel back.
I hope you have a wonderful holiday season.
Thank you.
I'm not really into the calendar.
Yeah, I know. I hate time. I'll go a step further. It's always driven me crazy about how people like organize time. And I know that's what we do, right? 3 to 3:15, 3:30, 3:45. It's like when the inspiration comes from me, it comes when it needs to. And there's something about feeling so entrapped by that just has never rubbed me the right way. I like being totally free and unbound. I like waking up feeling like every day is going to be new. That when stuff happens, it's going to happen.
Yeah.
That's me, though. I know a lot of people don't feel
It's
that way.
not just you.
We need to get back to that because we're enslaved.
When someone asks me what time it is, I always tell them the time is now.
That's a good one.
There was a watch I saw, like those Lilly and Vernon catalogs, or like current, like just kitschy stuff, like stupid. But it was a watch that literally had like sand inside of it, under the plate, under the crystal, and you would turn, you would just move it, and it would. The word was now. There were no numbers, no arms. It was just now. So you feel, what time is it? Oh, the time is now.
That's awesome. We need to get one of those.
Yeah, or not. You don't need it.
Yeah.
Because
Get one or not. Terrible business strategy, but amazing message and truth.
We need fewer things.
Yeah, we do. I've been downsizing a lot recently. Just how suffocated I feel, how held down by my
It's like, you know, in the movie Fight Club, the things you own end up owning you.
You're gonna let go of them anyway. Eventually, you're gonna die, and you're not gonna take a single bit of that with you.
There's that, what, death cleaning? Have you heard of that?
Swedish or something?
Like a Swedish death cleaning or Norwegian, some Scandinavian death cleaning. I can't remember which Scandinavian country it's from. But the idea is that you only keep things that when you die, someone will want.
That's a good idea.
Right? So like you have a whole shitload of stuff that no one, that if you have people, family, loved ones, friends, whoever, coming, you know, cleaning up after you die, they're just going to throw it away because they don't want it.
Right. Just hold on to stuff that you
Because
know
you have
would be
it.
valuable to other
Right.
people. Which in the future is going to be like water filters. Gardens.
Practical things, right?
Well, yeah, really. Medicines.
Yeah. And I just also keep thinking that every your possessions need things. Like you buy a TV, you need a stand to
Right.
put it on.
Or electricity, or
Everything.
internet connection.
Yeah, you have these things, and then you get something new, and then you need a new thing to go with it, right? Like you get a new bike, and now you need a helmet, or you need a lock. Or
A lot of that is by design.
It is. So I always think about that now when I'm buying something. Like, well, what else is this going to cost me? I mean, there's a lot of factors.
And what Illuminati 33rd degree Mason at the top is going as they're watching you almost make that purchase.
I put things in my cart at the store and walk around with them. And then when I'm done shopping, I decide. Then I know if I actually want them.
I do something similar to that too. Like,
Then I've had it for a while.
I do that online too, like in
I
my
do
cart.
that too, yeah.
But I'm like, I might want that. But then a lot of times the companies will send you coupons right after. They're like, hey, we really want you to buy this. Look, it just miraculous became 20% off now. And I'm just like rolling my eyes. It's such a like gnawing grab. It's so petty.
It's,
Vie for attention.
yeah,
Money and power.
marketing. Everything is vying for our attention.
It is. It's overwhelming
Yeah.
right now, which is why I'm sitting here heeding the messages coming to me by my team about, I mean, look at my table. It's minimal.
Yeah.
It's white. It's a white tablecloth, and it's got a few stones that I put out that I like. These are from my blessings. I have tobacco and lavender that I use. But I'm wondering when there's going to be more and more and more people thirsting for and looking for the truth cut through all the noise. The genuineness, the authenticity. Because there's a lot of us who hunger for it.
Yeah.
But many of us who do are still blinded by the distractions, so we know something's wrong, but we don't know what it is.
And even if you do know it, it's hard to cut through all of the noise to implement it.
Yeah,
To
you
live
need
it.
good noise-canceling headphones.
There's a really beautiful quote that I think of all the time. It's by Ajay Shanti. Enlightenment is the crumbling away of untruth. And I think about the idea that that block of marble that Michelangelo worked, David was already in there.
You think he's like literally in there?
David was in that marble, and all Michelangelo did was etch away at everything that didn't belong. And that's what we need to do. Just chip away at it. Like, we already have answers to truth. Right? We're just like, we need to unearth it.
Said the first monkey who realized there was a banana under the peel. That's so true though, isn't it? I mean, it's just a field of possibility. And we get distracted so much by what we think that path needs to look like to have that manifestation come true or unfold. And a lot of times the manifestation was never meant to be or isn't in our best interest anyway. We just let that go run away.
Thank you, Skye.
Thank you. Appreciate it, Heather.
Namaste.
Namaste to you too.
Hashdele.
Huh?
Hashdele.
Hashtele? Is
Yeah.
that Hebrew?
No, it's Tibetan. Hashdele.
Hashtele.
It's like it's a greeting.
Cool. So you've been in the mountains.
I was in the Himalayas.
pretty dope.
It was life changing.
I'm sure it's hard to get oxygen up there too.
Yeah, drink a lot of water.
Yeah.
Helps pressurize your blood vessels.
When I was in college, a lot of my roommates in my friend group at the time were Nepali.
I love Nepal. I really love it.
Me too. There's some good restaurants up here.
Where?
I'm a tourist, so I always gotta save where good restaurants are. Okay, let me end the video first.